Harry just landed a long-form essay in Time magazine on Sir David Attenborough's 100th birthday, calling him, in effectively gilded language, a secular saint and a national institution as essential as a kettle on the stove. The timepiece was supposed to be Harry's reset. Audiences were supposed to look at the byline and remember what he sounded like before the memoir, before the lawsuits, before Monte's shit show. But King Charles released his own Attenborough tribute through Buckingham Palace 4 hours later, and the palace's 2 paragraphs absolutely flattened it. So today we are covering Harry's Time magazine essay, landing on the same day his father published a quietly devastating Attenborough message of his own. The new memoir Watch reporting that Meghan has been quietly archiving years of methodical notes for an autobiography she swears she is not writing. The handwritten apology campaign Methane is reportedly running against Lauren Sanchez through homemade jam and curated gift baskets. The August 7th release date Archwell just logged in for the Cookie Queens documentary, and the Kensington Palace announcement on Princess Catherine's first solo overseas trip since her cancer remission, and the ITV royal correspondent who decided to discuss the working royal children's school security arrangements live on national television. So, welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Let's get down to it. Well, let me start with that essay, because the staging on this one is something else. Sir David Attenborough turned 100 this week. The British press has been preparing the centenary coverage for the better part of a year. Time magazine reached out to a very specific contributor list, and the list included 2 members of the royal family. The first, predictably, was Harry. The second, predictably, was nobody, because King Charles handled his own tribute through his own press office on his own timetable. So Harry's essay landed on the morning of May the 7th. The framing was vintage sausage. He compared Attenborough to a national institution. He framed the broadcaster as the man who systematically dismantled the idea that climate damage happens somewhere else. The entire piece felt like an audition. Now, here's the part the brand team did not flag in the kitchen meeting. The royal family member who has actually known Sir David personally for over a decade is, yeah, you guessed it right, Prince William. Earthshot, anyone? So, the Sustainable Markets Initiative, the personal letters, the Buckingham Palace tea between Attenborough and the Wales children. He has met George, Charlotte, and Louis in person and signed a fossilized tooth for George. The relationship is real, documented, and one Harry has nothing to do with. So, word on the street, as the Time byline went up, was a single observation the New York editors clearly did not check. The grandson who actually knows Sir David is the one who did not write the essay. The grandson writing the essay does not know him. The relationship Harry borrowed for his byline timepiece is, in plain terms, his older brother's relationship. And yeah, this is what gets interesting. Charles released his own statement through Buckingham Palace 4 hours later. 2 paragraphs. Quietly devastating. No essay, no byline, no magazine. Just the king and the broadcaster and the kind of warmth Harry's prose tried and failed to manufacture across 2,500 words. The grandson got the magazine. The father got the headline. So speaking of sausage prose, Reality Tea and the Scottish Daily Express both landed pieces overnight that have the entire publishing world talking. According to multiple insiders inside the sausage operation, Meghan has been quietly accumulating for years now a personal archive of voice memos. Oh my God, I'm sorry for whoever has to transcribe that. Journal pages, and what one source described as methodical notes dating all the way back to the period before Megxit. So the same insider went on, in effect, to describe the project as the foundation of an autobiography Meghan has been working on the entire time she has been telling the world that she is not, which is pretty much since forever. So the public line on the memoir has been on the record for the better part of 2 years. She has told one interviewer after another that she has too much life left to live before sitting down to write a book, and that any book she ever does write would not be a grievance project. Spare, in her telling, was Harry's lane and not hers. So the publishing insider line that has now reached the wire says something rather different. The notes do exist. The voice memos exist. The dating goes back to inside the working royal years. Or the working royal days, we could say. 72 days to be exact. That is the part that should be making the palace lawyers reach for a printer cartridge. So anything Meghan archived from inside the institution is, in effect, the same kind of archive Harry weaponized across 416 pages of his own, or his ghostwriter's own. I don't know how that works. So the gingerbread got $20 million from Penguin Random House, and a relationship the publisher has now publicly closed. The wife has been watching the negotiation, taking the notes, and waiting for the moment the family heat she needs reaches the right temperature. Memoir number 2 in this telling is not a question of if. It is a question of when the household runs out of cash, the Montecito household. Now let me tell you what is happening across the canyon between Montecito and Beverly Hills, because the receipt landed this week is one of the funniest of the spring. Reality T and the AOL syndication ran source pieces in the last 72 hours describing what one insider has now called Meghan's Sanchez correction campaign. The setup is the Met Gala. Anna Wintour, Beyoncé, and Venus Williams co-chairing the carpet on Monday. Lauren Sanchez sitting at the very top of the sponsor sheet as honorary chair. And Meghan, 4 days later, watching the photo gallery roll out without her name on the seating chart. According to the reporting, Meghan has spent the last several months trashing Sanchez to friends. The descriptors used inside the Montecito orbit paraphrase were thirsty, performative, and trashy. Okay, that is Meghan saying those words about another woman. Yeah, the nerve. So she declined the Sanchez wedding in Italy. She has, according to the same sources, been openly dismissive of the Bezos relationship in California for the better part of a year, allegedly. And then the Met Gala happened. The Duchess of Sussex, watching the carpet from her phone, has reportedly pivoted at speed. The new strategy, according to multiple insiders, is to flood Sanchez with the kind of soft power signal Meghan has not deployed since the Markle wedding planning. You know, the love bombing of narcissists. Yeah, pick Meghan. Handwritten notes on personalized stationery with Meghan's calligraphy, curated gift baskets, homemade as-ever jam delivered by courier, luxury treats sourced through the company's chocolatier. The insider description, paraphrase, was that the campaign is polished, strategic, and impossible to miss. The translation is the entire dossier in one paragraph. The brand strategy that did not survive the Met Gala carpet is now being conducted through a courier service to the woman currently sitting on the throne the Duchess of Sussex thought was hers. The jam, or the huge amount of jam that has not been sold, became the apology. The handwriting is the bribe, and the carpet on the next first Monday in May is going to roll without her name on it again, unless this jam and the tons behind it delivers a miracle nobody currently sees coming. Now, to the Archwell production slate, because the brand team did manage to land something this week. The first official trailer for Cookie Queens, co-produced by Archwell Productions and Roadside Attractions, dropped on Wednesday. The release date is locked in, August the 7th, 2026. Theatrical release. Director Alyssa Namias war premiered at Sundance back in January. Meghan is the executive producer, and the personal pitch line she gave the press kit, paraphrase, was that she grew up as a Girl Scout with her mother as the troop leader. Alright, so Sundance, theatrical, a modest documentary about a children's organization that sells cookies on suburban driveways. This is the actual current ceiling of the sausage production operation in May 2026. 2 years ago, Meghan was selling Hollywood on a Spotify deal that imploded, a Netflix slate that has since been pulled, an animated series cancelled before episode 1, and a cooking show whose ratings the variety team have described in plain commercial language as a problem. So the August 7th title in the seminal lobby is What Is Left, and the timing tells its own story. Variety reported in March that Netflix had divested from As Ever, the sausage relationship with the streamer that produced the Harry and Meghan documentary, the With Love series, and yes, that Polo project that nobody watched is decaying in the open. Cookie Queens is being released into theaters in August because there's no streamer waiting to take it. The Duchess of Sausages, who told Hollywood she was an A-list creative voice, is now an executive producer credited on a Sundance documentary about cookie sales. Now over to the working royals, because Kensington Palace landed an announcement this week the British press has been waiting 2.5 years to print. Princess Catherine, the future queen, will travel to Reggio Emilia in northern Italy on the 13th and 14th of May for a solo 2-day overseas visit. It will be her first foreign engagement since her cancer remission was announced in 2025, and the first extended overseas trip she has carried out alone in roughly 3.5 years. The brief is one Catherine has been quietly building for over a decade. Reggio Emilia is the Italian city whose early childhood education philosophy, the Reggio Emilia approach, has shaped her own Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood since the day she founded it. She has been visiting the British research institutions that work with the Reggio model in the run-up to the trip, and she is traveling without William, without the children, and the Italian government has, according to the announcement, designated the visit as a state-level engagement. Look at that one frame. The future queen, 3 years on the other side of cancer treatment, getting on a plane on a Wednesday to walk into a network of nursery classrooms in northern Italy because the work she has spent 15 years building rests on a school of pedagogy founded in that town. No motorcade in Sydney, no fashion app launching alongside the trip, no content drop on a chocolatier's countertop. Just the Princess of Wales on her own walking into a working classroom in Italy because the children's research she has chosen as her lifelong mission lives there. And now finally, and this is the one the British public is genuinely angry about, let me tell you about the ITV segment that has been recirculating across social media all week. ITV News Talking Royals, anchored by Charlene White with the network's royal correspondent Chris Shipp at the table, produced a segment titled, in effect, How Prince George is Stepping Up in the Royal Family Age 12. The segment has been resurfacing in the days leading up to Princess Catherine's Italy trip departure, and the line that has the British public furious is the line that should never have been broadcast on any network anywhere on the planet. According to viewers who have been recirculating the clip in horror this week, Charlene White and Chris Shipp spent a portion of the panel discussing, on national television, the school life and security arrangements being put in place for Prince George as he turns 12. References to his routines, references to his protective setup, references to the procedures around his current school, on a program on the open airwaves with a working royal child in current secondary education in active security threat assessment territory. The British public response on social media has been the loudest royal press backlash of the spring. Online critics have accused this segment of putting a child in danger, of breaking basic professional code every reporter on the royal beat has carried for the last 40 years, of treating the protection of a future king as filler content for a Wednesday afternoon panel show. The palace has not formally responded. Kensington Palace does not need to. The country has done it for them. Chris Ship. What can I say about Chris? He's the same correspondent who interviewed Harry in Kiev 2 weeks ago. He's the same correspondent who landed the "I was born to do it" line out of a Warren Zone hotel suit. He's the same one who was casting doubt about the grass behind that Catherine video. Yeah, you remember all that. The editorial judgment that ran the Kiev exclusive is the same editorial judgment that ran a working royal child security setup on a Talking Royals panel a fortnight later. So whatever ITV's house style currently is, it is not the working family's friend. And the country, in the comments, has been quite plain about it. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.